Okay, we're live. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn Skippy likes older women.
Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always, Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how's it going?
Excellent, very good. Like I said, season 5, I'm happy about everything.
We're loving it all. We're sticking to that resolution.
Yep, exactly. Great episode, great week. Everything's good.
Corey, how are you?
I'm a little confused over Paul's great week. I know you did a show this week. How'd your show turn out, Paul?
Oh, that went very well. In fact, it went so well that we're going to do a similar version of the show that we did for another show at the People's Improv Theater in New York.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I did a sketch about podcasts.
Right. I read that sketch about podcasts. I thought it was quite funny, in spite of the fact that I knew none of the podcasts that you were referring to.
Yeah, my humor is always about showing how smart I am. It's always trying to appeal to like a platonic parent figure to say, "Hey, look, aren't I good? Please tell me how good I am," even if there is no such person to show off to.
Well, you know, Paul, I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to sign an executive order right now telling America that you are good. Here we go. I'm signing it, and I'm showing it to you.
Pictures
wow.
Pictures taken. Okay.
Executive order. My first executive order today is that Paul is good.
Wow. So, Corey, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So is this going to be a thing that you're going to do throughout the episode, that you're going to sign executive orders making decrees?
Well, it seems to be the thing these days. Every king or emperor or Führer or dictator or leader of a militia, they all seem to be doing it these days. Oh, fuck it. It's just the president of the United States who's doing it. So if he can do it, I'm going to do it too. I'm signing executive orders. That's all there is to it.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see what the other ones you have going forward are.
They may even have something to do with family ties at some point.
Right. We are going to make podcasts great again. That's what we're going to do.
Making
Let's do this.
podcasts great again.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, if you're playing along at home, we are on season 5, episode 3, the freshman and the senior. And it's nice. It's always nice to see a Mallory episode. It feels like they give her like these Saturday morning learn something episodes.
They do. But it's funny. The very first note I wrote down, right after I wrote the name of this episode, I wrote down, "I am always pleased when I know that it's a Mallory episode." It pleases me to know that they've given her an episode. And while they are a bit of an after-school special, I think she pulls them all off very well almost all the time.
I agree. Absolutely. We start off in the kitchen, and Alex is going back to now. Alex is going to be Andy's father. He's showing Andy like ABC cards, flashcards to learn the alphabet.
I'm going to try and not have a stroke on a weekly basis over Andy. I'm going to try. I'm not going to succeed. Understand how dreadful this child actor is and why they couldn't have gotten some lump of shit to just sit there instead of me watching this kid break down, run into room, hug father, look here, say cute line, look at my mother for approval, run off stage. That's what he does. Everything he does is directed in bits.
Corey, I would say, like our president, Brian Bonsall is sort of just told things phonetically to say out loud. So like how Jared Kushner and the fascist Nazi Stephen Bannon, alcoholic, cirrhotic liver, devil incarnate Steve Bannon,
I got you.
They just both say things to Donald Trump in his ear, and then they push him like a toddler onto set to then say things that he doesn't understand what he's saying, and then he just says them. I think that's what they do in episodes of Family Ties.
So you're comparing Donald Trump and his collection, his mafia, his White House mafia. You're comparing that to Brian Bonsall and whoever the show director is and his mother is.
Well, Corey, I'll say this. I think that the definition of wit is tying two things that are dissimilar together in an interesting and nuanced way, which I think I've just done. I'm pretty witty, right?
Yes.
Is it something that perhaps a platonic parental figure might say, Paul, great job?
Yes, as part
you don't
of
have to worry about that anymore, Paul.
You don't have to worry. We have an executive action. Everybody's got to tell you you're great.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
Don't
be careful, Paul, because very much like our president, it might give you this false sense of self, and you will think you are better than everybody because of the praise that everything you say and do is great.
Ugh, God, it's really a double-edged sword. If I only had some cocaine around.
I know how our listeners hate when we go off on politics and start talking about politics, but does anyone know how many people listen to our podcast?
First of all, I don't know. Have we had negative feedback about our political?
Well, remember we were talking one day. You and I were doing a show, and somebody tweeted us. It may have been Dana who tweeted us.
Yeah.
Hey, if I wanted to listen to politics, I'd be watching CNN.
Well,
Tell me Family Ties. It was just you and me talking politics. That's all.
that's true. So in that case, our one listener is probably having issues. So we apologize.
How many listeners do you think we have, though?
Thousands upon thousands. We have the biggest podcast. I have seen the numbers. Corey, I don't know if you've been keeping track, but ours is the biggest podcast. I don't know if you've heard of Serial, which is a terrible, it's a corrupt podcast. This is the best podcast. And I don't know why people are lying. The enemies of Quality Time with Family Ties are lying about what a great podcast we have. It has the biggest numbers. It has the most fans. It has the best, smartest fans. And they talk to me and they tell me how great I am.
But Paul,
Right.
I saw the numbers on the Serial, and the numbers on the Serial looked really, really good. I mean, the numbers from 4 years ago when the Serial was when it was renewed for the first time, those were some seriously good numbers. And I've seen our numbers. We seem to have very scattered viewers, scattered listeners.
Guys, I'll tell you what.
iTunes is fake news.
My heart is already breaking. Just pretending to be Donald Trump for 30 seconds.
It's killing you.
It makes my heart hurt.
It's killing you. Let's just talk about Family Ties.
Let's keep going.
I think I might cry. I think I might actually cry.
Don't. If you thought Dana hated it when we talked about politics, if you start breaking down and weeping over politics, she's really going to hate it.
Yeah.
So while this is going on, Steven comes in and has this he stares at his family very sentimentally. They do that a lot with Steven. And he's had to go talk to his lawyer about putting together a will for him and Elise. Elise, I guess Meredith Baxter Burney had a vacation, and she's out this week.
Guess she did.
Yeah. She's at an architect. They always send her to some convention.
It's amazing in this moment when Steven walks in, he literally just says exposition. There's he's just saying where he's been and what the episode in his plot line is going to be. And then all of a sudden, Jennifer says, oh no, I'm sorry. Andy says, this is boring. And then he walks out. And then Jennifer says, let's get out of here. And she walks out. And it's all the most cursory, no thought went into any of these lines of dialogue. It was just like, what needs to happen? Just have them say what needs to happen, and then just keep going.
Get the B plot nailed down. So obviously this is boring to Andy and Jennifer, but Alex loves this. This is like a father-son bonding moment, mainly because he wants to make sure that he gets all of the family stuff in case something should happen to mom and dad.
Now, once again, we're talking about a 20-year-old kid who's a member of a family with 3 other siblings. Really, Alex? You're really going to try and rush your father to unfairly distribute his estate in your favor? The most ungenerous person of all of the members of his family?
I also think it's weird that Alex has such a broad knowledge of estate law. Like, I get he loves money in the stock market, but then he also knows estate law. That's weird.
Usually estate law is something that someone becomes familiar with either because they are a lawyer or because they've had someone pass away in their family and their will went into probate and they've learned about estate law through that. But most people don't know about estate law because most of us, in most situations, people have a will, they file the will, there's an executor of the will, and the will is read, and then it's over.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but as we learn on Family Ties, you can learn anything as long as you check out a bunch of big, gigantic books and read up on it.
Oh, big books. They brought the big books out in this one. They had them for a few weeks ago, so why not bring the big law books out? Yeah,
they're going to have a bottle episode next week to save money on all the money they spent for the books in this episode. They bought out an entire Barnes & Noble.
Probably why they don't exist anymore.
Right.
Exactly. And so we see where this whole B plot is going to be about Alex and Steven working on his will. Comes in and she is working on a sociology project. And she comes in with a lady named Margaret, who is her partner. And Margaret is 66 years old and going back to college.
I will also give the information that Margaret is also one of the greatest actresses in American history.
Who is she?
She is the unbelievably talented Julie Harris. Julie Harris has been nominated for 10 Tony Awards, has won 5 Tony Awards. She has won 3 Emmy Awards. She has won 1 Grammy Award, and she has 1 Oscar nomination, 1952's Member of the Wedding, Best Supporting Actress.
Almost an EGOT.
Almost. She is just shy of an EGOT. She's an Oscar shy of an EGOT.
Wow.
And that's sort of crazy because she was really a great stage actress. So the movie roles just didn't come fast and furious to her. Even late in life, she only died maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, very recently. But up until very late in life, she was touring in a one-woman play called The Belle of Amherst, which was the story of Emily Dickinson. And she one-woman play on Broadway. She did maybe 3 different times. She's just a great American actress from Cape Cod. And to me, she just has this very patrician kind of old New England style. I just thought she was lovely and controlled and gentle. And I thought those last 2 scenes in the second act really worked because of her. I thought that the work between her and Justine was just really nice. So I sort of liked her. She looks great for 66 too.
Yeah, when they said 66, I did not expect that. She looks the same age as Steven.
Yeah, I thought she looked about 45 to me.
Yeah. And she definitely has a very patrician air. She has like an Eastern Standard dialect and things like that. She dresses very old-fashioned, almost like an early 70s, late 60s, sort of like all of her outfits look like someone who, has aged but kept her own or her old wardrobe type thing. And which made it strange to me. If she's 66, why is she going back to college? What is she trying to get the education for? And
I don't know. Give us that. I kept listening for that too. Thought maybe there was like maybe a husband had died, or she was a widow, or a recent divorcee. They didn't give us any motivation for her to go back to school.
Yeah, that was surprising. I was expecting it to be something, even just the most cursory, like, oh, I need to get a couple credits or something.
Right. She fires off a short joke at Alex right off the bat, though.
That's how she inured herself to us.
Absolutely. With a really solid short joke in Alex's part. And then Mallory and Margaret have this scene talking about getting together to do their sociology project. Alex is still up to his old tricks of putting down Grant College for the sake of they'll feel better.
I just want to quickly say, I feel like this is some Reagan politics of tearing down institutions, especially ones that for lower income people is a way of having of getting out of social, climbing the social ladder. The social economic ladder is what community college is for. College initially in America was only for the rich. You had private institutions, Harvard, all the Ivy Leagues. Then you had state colleges, and that was like out of the 30s and things like that, in order to make that our country would have greater economic freedom. And then you have a community college, which is for, I would say, even lower income people. And to shit on it the way that Alex does is part of a cultural shift in the 80s to take away the social safety net, and so that way poor people can't go up the ladder.
That's sort of kind of crazy. Wouldn't you think that this country had reached a point where if you would want to encourage anybody who is going to go on for education after high school, I don't care whether it's a 2-year or a 4-year, you go for 2 years and then you transfer to a really good school for 2 years, and then you get the diploma that says you went to UCLA. It doesn't mention anything about Valley College or City College or whatever the smaller 2-year schools are.
Yeah, it's sort of, I think it's part of sort of like a class warfare technique of separating the middle class from the lower class. And so it's like they're not making fun of State College. She's going to a community college, and how funny that is. And I would say a lot of people in America at that time maybe went to state colleges. And so to them, it's like, it's making fun of welfare queens like Reagan did. It's that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, and you're right, Paul. It seems like around the time of the 80s, that's when there was a lot of shitting on community colleges. Oh, you're going to community college.
Right.
That really started this trend. So now it was, why even bother?
So at the very end of this first scene, we find out that Skippy is doing the same project, but his project partner is Holly Parker, who's the most popular girl in school. And Mallory really would like to be working with Holly Parker because it would make her social standing go up, and really would like to trade partners with Skippy.
This was something that bothered me in the script, was that plot line seemed like this is something more high schooly than like college. Like, you're at college now. It's bigger. It's, all that clique stuff kind of goes away. It felt very high school to me.
That's true. I feel like, I don't know, in our college, when I went to acting school, there was a lot of cliquishness, but that's because it's like this art thing where it's like everybody's trying to be good. Everyone's trying to be the best actor or whatever. And so I don't know. I feel like in a lot of more academic majors, you don't have that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who cares? I already feel bad for yelling about politics earlier. I already feel like I've ruined this episode, so I'm sorry. I'm already sorry, guys.
You know what? I think it's time for another executive order.
Do it.
Yes.
I am signing an executive order that everyone's going to love our episode today. Here we go. Best episode of College Times ever. It's an executive order. Everyone's got to love it.
Boom.
Don't worry, Paul. It's done.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm so happy everybody's back on my side.
Exactly. So we
go into go.
We're in the living room for the second scene, with Margaret and Margaret and Mallory working on their project. Margaret seems very excited about this. She makes some cute little comment that she remembers sex. She's very sweet, and she says that Mallory turns out to be her first college friend, and she was very thrilled to have a college friend. And then she tries to make a lunch date with Mallory, because that's what you do with your college friends. And Mallory was sort of weirded out by this whole thing. Just didn't make her feel very comfortable.
I don't think the writers got on like a good solid reason of why Mallory didn't want to work with Margaret. Like, it was one because of she wanted to be with the other girl, and two of Margaret's age. Yeah.
I don't think they ever made a really good argument against the age.
No. I mean, you know what? It doesn't matter what age you are. If you come on too strong as a friend or in a relationship or whatever, there can be a little bit of a pulling back from the other person.
And I felt as though that the writers acknowledge that in the last scene of the second act, where Margaret almost acknowledges, I probably shouldn't have come on so strong on that you're my friend, that we had to have a friendship as well.
Yeah.
And she sort of apologizes for that, realizing that that's probably where she made her mistake.
Yeah. And in the sort of messiness of the dialogue and in the writing and stuff like that, I think that Margaret, the actress, what's her name, Julie Harris, does an amazing job of sort of like painting over those sort of things, and she makes it feel organic. She makes the coming on too strong feel okay, where it's just like, oh yeah, she is a little bit, she's a little bit lonely. You can feel that loneliness.
Right.
And she's trying a little bit too hard, and you can feel that. So even though the writing is a little bit meh, I saw where it was going.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah. And I wish the writers had given Mallory some dialogue, kind of acknowledging more of how strong Margaret was coming on, instead of making it so much about her age or that she wanted to be with another partner.
Absolutely.
That to me is what felt like the more awkwardness of it was like, man, she's really coming on strong.
Right.
And
yeah, I totally agree.
She never verbalized that. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so they make, so Mallory agrees for lunch plans. Back in the kitchen, Alex and Steven have started to work on the will, I believe.
Yes, I mean, this whole B plot, it just keeps doing the same thing over and over again of Alex trying to, what's he doing here? He just wants he wants Steven to give him all of their money, and then he'll divvy it up as he sees fit.
Right. Yeah, Jennifer and Andy come in, and they're like, we don't, Andy and I don't want any part of this. And there's a joke of Andy, Brian Boswell gets the cute line of power of attorney he's given to Alex.
You know what? This is one of my favorite moments from the episode, where, like, what I was talking about in the first scene, I love the fact that, like, Steven and Alex are doing this scene of being like, all right, you're going to give me all your money, and then da-da-da-da-da. Then Jennifer and Andy come in, and they literally say, we have no reason for being on stage right now. And then they leave. They enter to say, why are we here? And then they go.
They literally said, and what's great is, like, Jennifer says, we don't want any part of this, and we don't see her for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
She literally is acknowledging, I will not be in the rest of this episode.
Yeah. If she had said that, it would not have made much difference.
No. Yeah, Alex shows Steven like a rough draft of a will that he's put together. And he's like, I gotta give it to Michael J. Fox. He plays this very excited. He's super duper excited about working on this will. But you're right, Paul. It just keeps, every scene with this B plot is pretty much the same. You could put them out of order and it still would make the same sense.
Yeah, it's just a whole lot of nothing. But then Mallory and Margaret come in, and Mallory, with her hair and her big shoulder pads and her, like, sort of sizable jacket she's wearing, looks like she's in the cast of Heathers.
Oh, she does.
Totally does. Like, she could be playing croquet right now.
Yeah. And once again, the big books are brought out. They're going to be researching for their sociology project. And Margaret really wants to plan time to work on it. She wants to pull an all-nighter. And Mallory's like, well, it's not due for another 3 weeks. And Margaret wants to, talk tomorrow about it. And it's Saturday. And of course, Mallory doesn't want to work on Saturday. And she finally leaves. And it's like, okay, yeah, then I'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah, just like our president. Right after getting inaugurated on a Friday, he said, I don't want to do anything for the first 2 days.
Yes, he wanted to take the weekend off.
Yeah, like you do.
Right. Isn't that what everyone does? You work Monday through Friday, right? No, you're president of the United States, sir. You work 7 days a week.
Corey, my heart's racing again.
I'm sorry.
Oh no. What am I doing? What's going to happen?
Have a sip of beer.
Corey,
thank you.
Corey, executive order. We need another executive order. Help Paul.
Jesus.
It's funny though, like, once again, you can see that Margaret is coming on too strong, and you can see that why she's coming on so strong. She's having fun. She's enjoying stuff like that. But yeah, there's no reason to pull an all-nighter. Like no one looks forward to pulling an all-nighter. That's always the point of last resort. If anyone's in college right now, you can speak to it, I'm sure. But like staying up late to work on a paper isn't a time to be like, let's paint our nails and talk about boys.
Mhm.
Yeah, what Margaret wants is a sleepover.
Right. And as a 66-year-old woman hanging out with an 18-year-old, that's kind of weird if we're going to look at the reality of the situation.
It is.
So in that case, you're kind of on Mallory's side of being like, I'm a little skeeved out right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I totally was on Mallory's side. And so much so that when Skippy comes, Margaret leaves, Skippy comes over because Skippy is partnered with the girl she wanted to be partnered with.
Right.
And so Mallory pretty much threatens Skippy to switch partners.
And Skippy agrees at the act break.
Yep.
Oh, is that when the commercial happened? I honestly had no idea.
Yeah, Skippy agrees. That's the act break.
Wow. So on that note, we'll be right back. Just as a quick pause, Brian, edit this out. Guys, am I okay right now? Have I ruined the first part of the episode?
Not at all.
No, it's great.
Like tonight at like midnight, I'll rewatch this episode. And
You'll be fine.
okay, all right, thank you. I'm in a bad way. I'm in a real bad way. All right, so
we're here for you, buddy.
Thank you. And we're back.
We're in the kitchen.
We come back. Yep, back in the kitchen, back working on the will.
Oh, let me say a quick thing. Season 5, I think my theme is, besides every episode being an amazing episode, I think Michael J. Fox looks the cutest and sexiest in season 5.
I totally agree with you. His hair couldn't look better.
Yeah.
Oh my god, and he looks thinner.
Good,
He just
yeah.
looks like really good. And like I think this episode is sort of out of order of something because his Secret of My Success sort of lightened hair is no longer there. And it's a little bit darker, but it's okay. But man, he looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like he's never been out of shape, but it feels like he got a little tone.
Yeah. Good for him, because he just met Tracy Pollan, so I'm sure he's like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, I'm gorgeous. And he's like, well, so am I. And then there you go.
Yep. It's beautiful.
The world's ending.
And so yeah, nothing. I mean, I really don't know what more to say about the B plot that we already haven't said. It's just they're just continuing to work on the will. Alex has to go get another some other form that he that's how extreme they've made it, is that he has all the forms needed for estate law up in his room. And then Skippy comes in and tells Mallory that Margaret has he needs his partner back because Margaret has decided to drop the class.
This is weird.
Yeah.
So obviously Margaret's feelings off stage are hurt.
We're hurt.
And she wants to drop the class and stuff like that. Now my question is, and maybe this is a little bit far afield, but she was taking sociology. The class they're taking is sociology. And we don't know why Margaret's taking it, if she has to have certain whatevers in order to get forward. But if she's dropping the class, that's a problem if she needs to take that class, right?
Unless you can move into another class that has the same credit.
Huh? That could be. But I was just like, I can understand her feelings being hurt, but for her, is she dropping out of school? Is that what we're supposed to infer?
I don't know. I couldn't figure that one out in terms of the need for her to be taking that class.
Right.
Right. I mean, I think it sounds like her saying dropping out of school would be better, because that kind of Mallory dumping her would be like the final straw. Well, I don't fit in at this college. I need to leave.
Right. And they don't say that.
What we learned. Yeah, they don't. Yeah. And so then we cut to Margaret's house, which looks very similar to Skippy's biological mom's house.
That's what it was. I couldn't figure out. I was like, this looks very familiar, but I couldn't tell which set it was.
Right? This is Skippy's biological mom's house.
Ah, that's what it was.
That's very interesting that you say that now, Scott, based on what happens at the end of the episode. So then
Oh! Oh!
we can get very Freudian for Skippy Handelman.
We really do.
Which actually, for listeners, you probably have no idea what we're talking about because I think that's our lost episode where we lost the MP3 for that.
Baby Boy Blue. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is Skippy finds out he's adopted and then goes to his biological mother's house, and it's the same set. And he has a nice scene with her, but then Alex is there for no reason. But then in this episode, he falls in love or goes on a date with a 66-year-old woman who lives in his mom's set.
Can I would love it if Family Ties for the rest of the run deals with Skippy's relationship with Margaret. I would love for that to be a continuing thing.
That would have been amazing if that were actually for the next 3 seasons. They're just a couple now. It's like Harold and Maude.
I would love it.
Oh my God, Corey, are you okay? What's going on?
Just a cold.
Okay.
It's not
Are you going to the doctor?
One of us is sick.
No, it's just a tiny little cold, just a head cold.
All right.
But I agree with you, Corey. This was a very nice scene. I really and you're right. Julie Harris plays this amazing.
I just thought it had a real dramatic flow of give and take. And I thought that Mallory started in one place, and I think she ended up in a different place. And I think there was a real change of opinion. I think she had some effect on Mallory.
Yeah, because I think Mallory goes into her apology thinking, I can just apologize and it'll be fine. She'll come back to class and it'll be fine. And Julie Harris explains like the weight of everything of having to go back to college and how
And of being her age. Right.
Yeah, and being embarrassed and hurt. It was really nice.
I thought it was so well said, because it's so easy for Mallory to go, oh, I'm 20 and my peers are going to make fun of me and I don't have a boyfriend and I'm in junior college and I don't feel good about myself. And then you have Margaret at 66 going, do you know what it's like for everybody to look at you and think that you're the mom in the class, that you don't fit in, that you can't make friends, that you're here because you weren't good enough when you were younger and now you have to do it. It's just, there's so many things that go, I think people who go back to school are actually quite brave.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, too, is that especially with Mallory's stuff, Justine Bateman plays it with such truth that that her lack of wisdom about the fears and distrust she has of Margaret feels earned. It feels like the logic she has, while faulty, is true to her. And that was amazing to see.
And then Margaret's actually able to convince her to stop thinking about herself and to think about somebody like Margaret instead. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and feels a little bit different.
And there was even one moment where Julie Harris jumped on Justine Bateman's line, and then Justine Bateman finished the line, and then Julie Harris went to her own line, the one that followed, and it was totally a fuck up, but it felt so real in a way. I don't think I've ever seen such reality on Family Ties yet.
The word I have it written down twice, honesty, that there was honesty in the scene. There was a certain amount of honesty going on with people, and that's always interesting to watch.
A+ scene, honestly. Go watch this episode. It's a great episode generally, comparatively, whatever, but like this scene is so good.
As is the next one, I think, is just as good, except that they have to go for a little hooky joke at the end, but we could see that coming a mile away.
Right.
Yeah, and so then we get to our final scene in the kitchen. Again, more stuff with the will.
Now, this was weird. The reading of the speech in Elise's words.
That was
Now,
weird.
I'm going to ask a dumb question. Do any of you think that there was another script for this week written at some point that had Elise in the script, and this was a speech that was in the script for Elise, and they thought, wow, we lost Meredith for the week, but I love that speech. I just don't want to lose it. Yeah, but it's not right for anybody else to say. We'll just rip it out of the script and have Alex read it and say it's Elise's words.
She left a note.
No, that's so amazing because, like, what I was saying in those early scenes with Jennifer and Andy, where they are just saying the exposition or, like, saying what the stage directions of their point of being in the scene are, I totally agree. I think that's absolutely it.
You see, when I saw it, I had to stop and I thought, I bet she was in an earlier draft of this episode. They loved the speech. It was very lyrical. It was a perfect speech for her to give to Alex. So now Alex took the speech and he gives it to Mallory.
Yeah, and then the moment when she's like, he's like, no, Mom gave me this note to say to you, and he pulls it out, and then Justine Bateman and Michael J. Fox play it so oddly, like the camera angle's weird,
Yeah.
and they just have this strange meta moment. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me wonder, going with that theory, if they actually had like a C plot written for like Meredith and Jennifer that was supposed to take place, so they had to justify both of them not being in this episode.
Yeah, that could very well be it, because it feels so perfunctory what's going on with Jennifer and Andy. Maybe it was just them patching things up, and this is the only way they could do it.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, whenever there's an outside problem on Family Ties, that person comes over to the Keaton household.
You know, the pattern has gotten so consistent where you have the penultimate scene elsewhere and then the ultimate scene back at the Keatons where they come for what I now call the routine letting off the hook. They show up in the last scene so that they can have like a priest absolve them of acting. Mallory, you didn't really act like an asshole. Go with peace. Go in peace.
Right.
God bless you. Spiritu Sanctum.
Corey, that was always my favorite part of Catholic Mass, is when the sign of peace that you get to shake everybody's hand, because A, it's fun to just do a little handshake with everybody sitting around you, and B, it's literally the end of church.
You know it's the end. I
Yeah.
can't wait to go for touchy
God.
time because it's over.
Yeah.
When do you get the flesh of Christ though?
That's right before that.
So you get your snack, you get your little flesh of Christ, and you get your little sip of wine, and then you go touchy and you go home.
You know what? The saddest part of growing up Catholic, the church that we went to, I didn't get to drink wine.
Did they give you like
Aw.
grape juice or anything?
Nothing. No.
The kids got
It was like very hierarchical, I guess, where it was like the priest gets to drink the wine, nobody else does.
Wow. There's no point in
Yeah.
going to church or temple if you're not going to drink wine.
Yeah. That's why it's noon and I'm drinking.
Of course, you're making up for lost time.
It's like, that's why I'm not going to church.
Yeah.
So we get to the last scene of the show, and we're in the Keaton kitchen as usual. We have one last moment between Alex and his father talking about how many assets he has. Then he reads the speech to the mother's speech to Mallory, and then Margaret shows up.
And she says, once again, she says the funniest, most like meta type thing of being like, hey, Mallory, I came over. I have a date in the car waiting, so let's hash this out. It's like, what? So I wrote down, what the fuck? What kind of a weird thing to say is that?
So I wrote down,
I was,
if that date isn't Skippy, I'm quitting this podcast, is what I wrote down. I sort of knew right then and there that the date was Skippy. So
it's gotta be. First, I was really, I was weirded out by that line too, because Mallory has no reaction to it. Like, it's just a very throwaway. I got a date waiting.
it goes right over her head.
Like, when you have a date, like
Right.
trust that, and they don't. But yeah, it's this nice apology from both of them. Like, Margaret says, I was old, but I forgot about you being young.
Oh, young, right.
And I mean, like, ultimately, she's a freshman in college. Mallory is 18 years old. And I mean, that is so young. Like, you think of yourself as 18, but then you come in contact, like the three of us I'm talking to right now, with an 18-year-old, and those are very young people.
They are young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just nice. And then we get to the best part of the episode is she says, I'm going to go, Margaret says, I'm going to be back in the class. I'm going to work with Skippy. I feel really comfortable around him. You know, he's even more out of place than I am. And Skippy comes in and says, Margaret, my dear, we have plans for dinner at 7:30. And that's her date.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing. Great, nice little capper. There's also a moment when Margaret is talking about how she still feels like a little girl inside, for as old, quote unquote, as she is.
Right.
And she starts to tear up a little bit. And then Justine Bateman, like in the most organic, tearing up, like empathetic moment where like the actress is genuinely affected. Like
Mhm.
it's not in the script
Yeah.
that they are supposed to cry or any of that sort of stuff, but it's just one of the most honest, nice moments in a show full of
It's
them.
just a-
Yeah, well, she was listening to her, and
Yeah,
that was a
and
good
it's-
thing, that she actually was hearing what she said.
Yeah.
Let her.
yeah, it's the beautiful line of friend. And Justine Bateman's reaction of "I'll be your friend, Margaret." It's so sweet and so,
Yeah.
like you said, so honest. And that's the episode. Final, and like I think our best episode, because they've all been good. Our best episode for season 5 so far.
I very much agree.
Uh-huh.
I would recommend this as like, I feel like there are probably like 4 or 5 episodes throughout the series so far that we're like, definitely watch this episode. This definitely watch.
Mhm.
Yep. That's definitely.
A+.
Yeah. A+. Well, guys, be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. And for questions and comments, email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties.com. Follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for updates. You can also follow each of us on Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
Wait,
that-
Henry.
Corey,
Is
can
that
you hear me?
Henry?
No, that's Maisie, isn't it?
It's Maze.
That's Maisie. It's
Maisie.
Maisie's first
Oh my
appearance.
gosh. Maisie, hello.
Maisie.
You see
Hi,
the guys?
Maisie.
Say
I
hi.
saw the bald head and realized it was Maisie. Hi, beautiful.
It's Maisie. It's Miss
How
Maisie.
are you?
She is good. She is good.
Yeah, if you want to meet Maisie, listeners, go to our YouTube page. Just search
Yeah.
QTWFT and you can meet Maisie.
Mhm.
Exactly. It'll be on there. All right. If we need to start over, I'll start over so we get a clear one.
Oh, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
You sure? All right. So yeah, follow each of us on Twitter. Henry's not on Twitter. Maisie's not on Twitter. But you know, by the time they're old enough, Twitter won't exist. So, and be sure to like our Facebook page. We'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon at Fanbase Press. Fanbase Press is a comic book publisher and an online community supporting us through daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. Be sure to check them out at fanbasepress.com. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the Family Ties theme song without us. Check out Perry's website at perryadams.com. And Brian Dillon, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. Brian is the president and co-founder of Fanbase Press. Follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. And lastly, Sean Foster, Fanbase Press's graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye. Sha-la-la.
Bye.